One and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to Sober Talk. Tonight's Sober Talk, we're going to continue on with the big book. We're going to keep reading away. And we are now finished. We're here last week. We finished chapter one, which is Bill's story. And we're going to continue on reading uh, with the big book. We're going to continue the reading. We are on chapter two. There is a solution. Um, so I need my vape. Hang on here, and we'll grab that quick. We'll get caught up with everyone today, and then right after this, we did some touch-up work, and we got to sneak in. Pretty much, it's going to be breakneck speed. Hey, what's going on, Ian? Good to see you, brother. That's my brother from another mother, from across the pond. Um, and Ian always collabs with me at the Storm Shield. Hey, what's going on, Raven? You better get ready because Raven, you're going on this run with us. It's going to be a great time. Um, Ian and I, we've been doing this Storm Shield along with Princess Faye, and the Storm Shield defense is always so much fun. And usually at the start of it all, we throw out a bunch of weapons and everything. Ian, I already got you. I already got your Wraith built. Yeah, I totally. Okay, I got your Wraith built just in case you need a new one, and we'll throw down a couple of siege breakers, and we're just gonna have. Yeah, it's gonna be insane. We made a few minor tweaks to it, but we still got to get one other tweak. We have to have Ian's wall darts. We got to have his wall darts. If you play Save the World, everyone has a specialty trap. Mine's the 3x3s, and Raven's got the broadsides for his specialty. I know Bad Bat's got a couple of his wall punchers are amazing because he uses them to basically create like this huge chain that's really hilarious to watch. And then Ian's got wall darts. Princess Faye is slowly getting to where her specialty trap is the retractable spikes, which are really cool. I like the retractables; they're neat as heck. Which so it's a lot of fun. Um, so we're gonna go the full time. So we'll start up the other one a little bit. We'll still make sure that we get our full time in for both streams as much as possible. Um, and I have so much fun doing the Storm Shield defense, the endurance run. We got the highest we've gotten so far is 27. I have high hopes that we will get all the way to 30 this time. I have high hopes. So right now, I'm just kind of touching up. Normally, I wait till about the 10-minute marker to kick everything off. Hey, what's going on, Zero? Welcome to the live stream. Good to see you, buddy. Tonight's going to be a reading of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. We're going to continue on with that reading. What we've been doing this now for a couple weeks now, where we're just going to read the first 164 pages of the Big Book. And this was inspired by Mr. Gamerian. What? Um, what's a WKD Blue? Huh. Um, so basically, for a few weeks now, we have been doing the Big Book, uh, reading it, and this is the main textbook of Alcoholics Anonymous. What's going on, Harold? You were just streaming? Well, doggone. Oh, it's a kid's drink. Okay, Raven. I see. I've never heard of it over here in the States. We might. We have. I keep saying that Ian and I keep talking that we're going to do this. That we're basically going to like grab a bunch of snacks that you could get at like grocery stores. Stuff that you guys may never. Oh, we've been talking about. And then like, I'll send like a care package from here to over there. What's going on, Queen? The other Queen Bee. I snuck into your stream I sneak into your stream every now and again, but I'm usually editing. I'm usually editing a video, so I don't get to say anything, but I get to kind of. You just moved to Twitch? Oh, all right, all right. But I know anytime you stream over here on YouTube, I usually sneak in. And a lot. There's times I'll sneak into your stream, and I may not say anything, but I'm usually dropping you a like. Really? So, um, already, dang, that didn't take long. That didn't take long. I know my TikTok has been jumping since one of those last. It's been doing pretty good. Um, so that's pretty much my excitement. So right after this stream, we'll be firing up the Fortnite Save the World, and we'll be doing the Plankerton Storm Shield Defense Endurance. So, yes, dear, we're getting to that. But we're going to continue on reading the main textbook of Alcoholics Anonymous, uh, which is the book that my sponsor taught me on how to live, to stay sober. And for those again that do not know, I am a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and my sober date is February 7th, 2006. And that was the day that that, right, the 400. See, and I appreciate that, Ian. You asking all those questions that everybody else is afraid to ask. That's one of the things I appreciate. And I mean, and folks, if there's something in this that you don't understand, I will do my best to answer it to the best of my ability. Because if you don't know, then that question is going to continue to linger. So don't be afraid to ask me those hard to ask questions. Um, that's one of the nice things about readings like this, because I can try to pass on. The more knowledge I pass on, the more it reaffirms why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that's the neat thing about sober talk is, I can't tell somebody else's story, but I can tell you my experiences based. I can tell you my story based on my own personal experiences. And right. Um, okay, so you're familiar with it. Okay, good, Zero. That's what we want to see. Is and it's always nice when someone comes in and kind of like, oh wow, you never know what you're going to get out of it. The nice thing, basically, what I'm going to trying to get at is, with the big book that all too familiar that there is the disappearing, reappearing ink that's in the big book. So. All right, we're on page 17, the start of There Is a Solution, chapter 2. And there is a solution. All right. Um, Princess Faye, as soon as my coffee is done, Princess Faye will be bringing that. I'll definitely need it because reading. All righty. We of Alcoholics Anonymous know thousands of men and women who were once just as hopeless as Bill. Nearly all have recovered. They have solved the drink problem. We are average Americans, all sects of this country, and many of its occupants are represented, as well as many political, economical, social, and religious backgrounds. We are people who normally mix, but there exists among us a fellowship, a friendliness, and an understanding which is indescribably wonderful. We are like the passengers of a great ocean liner the moment after rescue from shipwreck, when camaraderie, joyous, and democracy pervade from the vessel from steerage to captain's table. Unlike the feeling of the ship's passengers, however, our joy in escape from disaster does not subside as we go our individual ways. The feeling of having shared in common peril is the one element in the powerful cement which binds us. But that in itself would never have held us together as we are now joined. What they're basically describing, what the members at this time are describing, is basically after basically after a great tragedy, you all know that people will go their own way. Occasionally, there might be a few here and there that kind of touch base, but by and large, most people just kind of go their separate ways. Um, Within Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous and a lot of the other anonymous programs, there oftentimes is this sense of, like a commitment to one another, to reach out to one another, kind of like that. Best way I can describe it. That whole thing where it's like, oh, you saved my life, I saved your life, that sort of thing. It's just like there's this need to be with one another, which I will say since the pandemic started, and now that more and more of the masks and everything is starting to go away, it's kind of like I'm excited to start getting back to normal AA life, whatever that is, because there's no such thing as a normal AA life. It's all very bizarre it's bizarre living, trust me. All righty. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism. An illness of this sort, and we have come to believe it is an illness, involves those about us in a way no other human sickness can. If a person has cancer, we are sorry for him and no one is angry or hurt. But not so with the alcoholic illness. For with it goes an annihilation of all things worthwhile in life. It engulfs all of those lives who touch the sufferers. It brings misunderstanding, fierce resentment, financial insecurity, disgusted friends and employers, warped lives of blameless children, sad wives and parents. Anyone can increase the list. Really quick, sometimes those of us in AA, and I'm pretty sure even in NA, Zero, if you're familiar with the program, you can kind of vouch for this. If this kind of hits, I've been to maybe 2 NA meetings in my time, so I can't speak for them on this one. But from this one particular line here, a lot of AA members will try to equate alcoholism and drug addiction with like getting cancer, and that's not accurate. You cannot put alcoholism and drug addiction on the same level as cancer. The actions more resemble like some sort of impulse control disorder, similar to like, yeah, and in all reality, you cannot. You have to the actions of you really have to put on the level of some sort of impulse control, similar to like Tourette's. The people who have Tourette's. Hi, Mickey. Don't use my real name in the lives, Mickey. Outside of AA, you are outside of because of Alcoholics Anonymous. Please, don't use my real name because it's out of respect for AA. Okay. Outside of YouTube and all of that, you're more than welcome to use my real name. I don't mind. Actually, I kind of appreciate it. But the moment that camera turns on and I'm live, or it's one of my premieres, please, 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 with all dearest respect, use my YouTube name. Okay, and that's just respect for Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay. But as I was saying, you kind of have to put alcoholism on that level of similar to Tourette's. And the reason being that I will say that, and it's no, Yeah, thank you, Ian. Um, and so if you will, on that level of if you will, and for the record, that's actually an honor that you feel comfortable enough to use my real name. That is an honor to me. But unfortunately, out of respect for the program, hey, how you doing, Jason? Um, but if you will, when you're talking about alcoholism, and drug addiction, you really have to put it on the level of like Tourette's, and no disrespect to those with Tourette's, but those that deal with Tourette's, they have those tics and those little things that they just can't control. Well, when we take our first drink as an alcoholic, or take that drug that clicks with the addict, what oftentimes happens is we lose control of being able to control what we do. There you go, bad man. Um, so if you will, because of that, we have that whole thing going on, that when we take that first drink, that first drug, we can no longer control ourselves. So it's not a matter, and so if someone with Tourette's might be able to kind of understand what I'm talking about right there. And again, no disrespect to anyone who has Tourette's, but it's kind of like that's the best way I could describe it. We become unable to control what we do next, and it oftentimes leaves a wake of destruction behind us. And again, I want to reiterate, with alcoholism, it's not a lack of willpower, it's not a lack of moral fiber, it's just we can no longer control what we do next. Um, so, you know, as long as we don't pick up that next drink or drug, we can kind of function in a normal everyday life. Well, it depends on what happens to them afterwards. Um, that's a good question. It's what happens to them afterwards. It's not the amount. Yes, I am, Sunset. Good question. Absolutely zero. That's absolutely dead on. All right. We hope this volume will inform and comfort those who are or who may be affected. There are many. Highly competent psychiatrists who have dealt with us found it sometimes impossible to persuade an alcoholic to discuss his situation without reserve. Strangely enough, wives, parents, and intimate friends usually find us even more unapproachable than do the psychiatrist and the doctor. But an ex problem drinker who has found this solution, who is promptly armed with the facts about himself, can generally win the entire confidence of another alcoholic within a few hours. Such an understanding is reached. Uh, until such an understanding uh, is reached, little or nothing can be accomplished. That man who is making the approach has had the same difficulty, that he obviously knows what he is talking about. That whole deportment shouts out at the new prospect that he is a man with a real answer, that he has no attitude of holier than thou, nothing whatsoever except the sincere desire to be helpful, that there are no fees to pay, no axes to grind, no people to please, no lectures to be endured. These are the conditions we have found most effective. After such an approach, many have taken up their beds and walk again. Really quick, let me stop for a moment, because and bear in mind, I'm going to be trying to. Okay, give me just a second, Ian. And I'm going to answer that question to the best of my ability, because this is sober talk. Um, really quick, what the book is talking about. What's going on, Chairman? Uh, yes, absolutely zero. There you go. That's kind of where I was going to go with that. I probably just made it fancier worded, but that's the real way to put it. Simple, easy to understand, and I'm notorious for putting pretty words to things. That, anyhow, um, what the book is kind of talking about is what we go on to kind of call a 12 step call. Pretty much, uh, you know, a lot of us in AA and in NA, we get to a certain point. Um, some of us will, we get that all important call where we have to kind of go and kind of talk to, hey, what's going on? Think different. What's going on, J Dog? Um, but basically, what ends up happening to a lot of us is we get that uncontrollable urge to reach out and help others. And and in this particular case, by reaching out and helping others, that's like exciting to us. Um, absolutely exciting to us to get back what was freely given to us. And let me kind of reiterate here, if you will. Um, I hate bottled water, but it's here. Um, because I'm still waiting on coffee. um, let's see if I can do my best here. In AA, if you're real about this thing, and I'm pretty sure it's the same for our folks in NA, I think this is kind of across the board. We'll just say both programs. Uh, we all have this uncontrollable urge. We want to help people. We want to help people. And when I first got to AA, and this is probably one of the biggest mysteries of all, um, when I was first talking to Sober Man, I was actually writing my name and number down in a book, and it was my very first AA meeting. And they're like, "Hey, they're taking names and numbers," and I more or less kind of, as we were talking, um, we were talking about, I want him to be my sponsor, and I kind of came and I was giving my name and number down in this book, and in case I said I don't know if I'll be any help, but do you guys want it? Yeah, if you would like, I said yeah, I don't mind. So I was, and we don't know what happened to that book, but that was where I was. I had this uncontrollable urge. It's like I don't know if I can be any help, but do you want me to? I said maybe at some point I might be. Like by all means, and that should have been an indication that I already wanted to be of help. Um, so that should have been an early warning for Sober Man. But he actually was like, "Oh, he's not real about this. He can't be. He's too young." Nope. um, but to answer that question, Ian, what I was going to say, which is zero, pretty well. There's at the big book at some point we'll actually talk about three different types of people, and you can apply this to drugs as well. But at certain point, the big book is going to talk about the three different types of drinkers, and the one that can take it or leave it. But then there's the one person that they will drink or drug like they have the addiction problem, but something will happen in their life and they're able to stop. These are the ones that always say, I used to be, or I know someone who used to be, and that will actually take and kind of reshape that thinking because either you are or you're not. Okay. So either you are addicted or you're not addicted, or you're either an alcoholic or you're not an alcoholic. There is no that in between, if you will. And those are the ones that are used to be because they'll use or drink like they were, but something will happen in their life. Maybe they'll fall in love. For some of our ladies out there, they'll get pregnant. and or they'll hear a doctor say, if you don't do this, yeah, for the most part. Actually, Zero, there's actually something interesting that came through the pipeline from AA World Services that please remind me closer to the end of the stream, and I'll pass that on. Something I came across years ago while in the service structure. You'll actually find this very interesting. But anyhow, but we'll actually. Mm. Yeah, there some people. There's like the non-alcoholic beer over here that here in the States that still has a little bit of alcohol in it, and everyone's like, "Well, you can drink that. You better read that label a little bit closer than you think." Okay, and that even if it didn't have a drop in it, you still got to be yeah. You have to be really careful with what you pick up here in the States. If it that whole yeah, we'll talk more about that. But let's continue on. Big book time. None of us make a sole vocation of this work, nor do we think its effectiveness would be increased if we did. We feel that elimination of our drinking is but a beginning. A more important demonstration of our principles lies before us in our respective homes, occupations, and affairs. All of us spend much of our time in the sordid effort which we are going to describe. A few are fortunate enough to be so situated that they can nearly give all their time to the work. If we keep on our way, if we keep on the way we are going, there is little doubt that much good will result, but the surface of the problem would hardly be scratched. Those of us who live in large cities are overcome by the reflection that those closed by hundreds are dropping into oblivion every day. Many could recover if they had the opportunity we have enjoyed. How shall then we present that which has been so freely given us? We have concluded to publish an anonymous volume setting forth the problem as we see it. We shall bring to the task our combined experience and knowledge. This should suggest a useful program for anyone concerned with a drinking problem. Of necessity, there will have to be discussion of matters medical, psychiatric, social, and religious. We are aware that these matters are, from the very nature, controversial. Nothing would please us so much to write a book which contained no basis for contention or argument. We shall do our utmost to achieve that ideal. Most of us sense that real tolerance of other people's shortcomings and viewpoints and a respect for their opinions are attitudes which make us more useful to others. Our very lives as ex-problem drinkers depends upon our constant thought of others and how we may meet their needs. You may have already asked yourself why that it is that all of us became so very ill from drinking. Doubtless you are curious to discover how and why, in the face of expert opinion to the contrary, we have recovered from a hopeless condition of mind and body. If you are an alcoholic who wants to get over it, you may already be asking, what do I have to do? It is getting very difficult to read. I am going to have to go get myself some coffee. I was kind of waiting for so hang on a second. I can't read.
It just finished brewing.
Perfect. So, alrighty. That's all good. Alrighty. So, Kind of right now, this is just, if you will, give me just a moment. I'll get caught up with the chat here in a second. Kind of right now, what the big book is doing is kind of prefacing, if you will. It's just kind of prefacing what to kind of expect out of the big book. So it's going to be kind of touching base, you know. Oh yeah, gots to have the coffee. Gots. There's actually a joke in Alcoholics Anonymous. If you ever go to an AA meeting and you don't see a big book or a coffee pot, that meeting is already subject to suspect. Okay? Absolutely. All righty. Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine. I was getting frustrated because I couldn't read. Yep. All righty. Yes, withdrawals from drugs and alcohol sucks. It sucks. Give me just a second. There we go. We all plugged in. All righty. Yeah, that's very commonplace. The Princess Fade touched base on that. Yep. Coffee is life. Yeah, I'm right there with you. At work, they're like, Prince Magnum, you drink an awful lot of coffee. I said, that is my drink of choice since I got sober. They're like, so you traded one drink for another? I said, yeah, but this one won't kill me as quickly. I said, might be a little tough on the heart. I said, but I think we can live with this one. I said, it doesn't give me the crazies and leave me, you know, in places I don't want to be and doing things I don't want to do. You know, they're like, I can see that. Yeah. We'll stick with this. So, absolutely zero. No copy. There you go. All righty. So, kind of right now, what we're reading is the fact that, you know, with what we're kind of going over. Absolutely zero. Absolutely. Um, Zero putting it in. Yep, Princess Faye drinks way too much soda. Um, so pretty much what this chapter is about. Let me see how many more pages we got to go. All right, we're going to go a little bit further yet. I'm going to go um, finish out this page, and we'll get over to at least the about midway through 22. All right, because we're on page 20, so we're gonna soldier on a little bit further, and then hopefully this kind of breaks it down for you. By the way, this particular chapter, there is a solution. What? Now, I've never heard that one before. I'm kind of lost. I'm like, what? I'm kind of lost on that one, bad. All righty. All righty, let's soldier on here. Where are we at? The purpose of this book is to answer such questions specifically. We shall tell you what we have done. Before going into a detailed discussion, it may be well to summarize some points as we see them. How many times people have said to us, I can take it or leave it alone. Why can't he? Why don't you drink like a gentleman or quit? That fellow can't handle his liquor. I heard that one a million times. Basically start raising you. If you're an alcoholic or an addict and you basically got yourself, raise your hand if you've heard any of these. Why don't you try beer and wine? Lay off the hard stuff. His willpower must be weak. He could stop if he wanted to. She's such a sweet girl. I should think he would stop for her sake. The doctor told him if he ever drank again, it would kill him. But there he is, all lit up again. Yep, you've heard these before. These are commonplace observations on drinkers, which we shall hear all the time. Back of them is a world of ignorance and misunderstanding. Real quick, when you hear ignorance, ignorance is you don't know, okay? There's a difference. Ignorance and stupidity are actually different. Ignorance is a person doesn't know but can be educated, be taught. That isn't a bad thing. But with stupidity, they don't want to be taught. Okay, that's the general crux of it. So in this particular case, when they say ignorance, it means a person who doesn't understand. Yeah, it's just simply a lack of knowledge on something, and that doesn't, that isn't necessarily a bad thing. All right, here we go. Moderate drinkers have little trouble in giving up liquor entirely if they have a good enough reason for it. They can take it or leave it alone. Here are the types of alcoholics. Really? Wow. This is the three types of drinkers, okay? And you can apply this to people who use use drugs, okay? You can apply it the same way here. Moderate drinkers have little trouble in giving up liquor entirely if they have a good enough reason for it. They can take it or leave it alone. Then we have a certain type of hard drinker. He may have the habit badly enough to gradually impair him physically and mentally. It may cause him to die a few years before his time. If a sufficient strong reason, ill health, falling in love, change of environment, or the warning of a doctor becomes operative, this man can stop or moderate, although he may find it difficult and troublesome and may even need medical attention. He goes in, gets help. He can find a reason to stop. But what of the real alcoholic? He may start off as a moderate drinker, which I did. He may or may not become a continuous hard drinker, but at some stage of his drinking career, he begins to lose all control of his liquor consumption once he starts to drink. Yep. Here's the fellow who's been puzzling you, especially in his lack of control. He does absurd, incredibly tragic things while drinking. He is a real Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He is seldomly mildly intoxicated. He is always more or less insanely drunk. His disposition while drinking resembles his normal nature, but little. He may be one of the finest fellows in the world, but yet let him drink for a day, and he frequently becomes disgustingly and even dangerously antisocial. He has a positive genius for getting tight at exactly the wrong moment, particularly when some important decision must be made or engagement kept. He is often perfectly sensible and well balanced concerning everything except liquor. But in that respect, he is incredibly dishonest and selfish. He often possesses special skills, he often possesses special abilities, skills, and aptitudes, and has a promising career ahead of him. He uses his gifts to build up a bright outlook for his family and himself, and then pulls the structure down on top of his head by senseless series of sprees. He is the fellow who goes to bed so intoxicated he ought to sleep the clock around, yet early next morning, he searches madly for the bottle he misplaced the night before. If he can afford it, he may have liquor concealed all over his house to be certain no one gets his entire supply to throw down the waste pipe. As matters grow worse, he begins to use a combination of high powered sedative and liquor to quiet his nerves so he can go to work. Then the day comes he simply cannot make it and gets drunk all over again, perhaps goes to a doctor to give him morphine or some sedative which to taper off. Then he begins to appear at hospitals and sanitariums. This is by no means a comprehensive picture of the true alcoholic, as our behavior patterns vary, but this description should identify him roughly. Folks, if you heard yourself in that description of the true alcoholic, I don't know what to tell you at that point. I don't know what to tell you at that point. Spooky language there. Let me tell you, when I read this description for the first time, I actually got pissed off that someone was writing about me before I was born, because I knew this book was wrote back in 1939, 1940. I was very pissed off. It's like, you motherfuckers. It was my first resentment in AA. But anyhow, very commonplace. I want to reiterate, alcoholics and addicts are usually very, very intelligent people. It is actually extremely scary how intelligent we really are. Okay? Alcoholics and addicts are extremely intelligent human beings. It's very spooky. If you've not seen this before, trust me when I say we are highly intelligent. We are very good at what we do. So much so that without question, it is very it is very scary how smart we are, and we're very good at what we do. As a matter of fact, I was quite revered in the where I worked. If I was working in a job, I was oftentimes quite revered for my bedside manner and my attention to detail when it came to medications. It was not uncommon that that the doctors, because they have so much, it's hard to keep track of everything that they need to know. There was times that I would oftentimes say, "Doc, have you considered this medication?" And they would go, "I hadn't even thought about that one. Hadn't even thought about that one." That was actually a commonplace thing where they would go, "Glad you thought of that." So I was very skilled. And in the job that I work, I don't want to have to be the one to tell my bosses, but what you're actually seeing is very commonplace. It's, that whole thing that, because I work in a maintenance department and everything, but then you're sitting there going, yes, that is normal. What you're seeing, this is very commonplace with us alcoholics and addicts. We're very highly intelligent human beings. That's right, Ian. And always remember, you Marines don't go anywhere unless we Navy take you there. Hitching a ride? Hitching a ride? I'm waiting for it. Got your thumb out? Or are you hiking up your skirt? You hiking up your skirt, showing some leg, like in the old cartoons? None but love to you, brother. Oh man. Thanks, Zero. Got him good, didn't I? Oh man. Nothing but love to you, brother. And for those that do not know, I am very uh Ian is a veteran of Her Majesty's Royal Marine Corps, and it's always an honor and a privilege when he's here. I know Raven is a veteran of Her Majesty's Army. And what's going on, Third Gen 83? So to have a couple of our veterans from across the pond. Hey, how we got your back though. Because remember, I was actually supposed to be a hospital corpsman. I was the guy that if you got hurt, I was the one who was supposed to put you back together. So I was your medic. Sitting out on the open sea doing nothing. Yeah, we're too busy taking you places. Yes. Um, oh my gosh, you are something. But yeah, I was actually supposed to be a hospital corpsman in the U.S. Navy, but unfortunately, because of my PTSD, they would not let me go. I'm like, come on, guys, give me a shot. I'm like, you'll take us in and you'll mess us up, but then and send us home after we're all messed up. But you won't take us already messed up. Shoot, I got it. You said that whole thing about being out in the field playing with your guns. Okay, this is my rifle and this is my gun. This is for shooting and this is for fun. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, see, they didn't come up until I was already at the MEP Center in St. Louis. That's when it came up. And I'm like, look, I can do this. Bad, bad, you Henri. Oh, man. Actually, the Marine Corps, I've seen some of what the Royal Marines learned, and I will say they're squared away. Good people, good, strong. Um, I've got nothing but respect for them. They're tough as nails. They have quite a military tradition, and nothing but respect for them. Nothing but respect for them. Uh, True professionals, true military professionals, right there. Um, I have nothing but respect for them. We will joke, but in all reality, nothing but respect for them. And between all the branches of the service, there's always going to be that playing rivalry. Oh yeah, the Marines are tough. The Royal Marines are tough as nails. Absolutely, honey. Absolutely. Well, and real quick, oh yeah, yeah, I've seen some of what they go through, and it is serious. Like, you know, yeah. Um, like, don't even the corporals that put you through the early stages of the training. It's like, don't even piss them off. They are serious. Yep, yep. So, um, back to the task at hand because we're getting close to the end of all of this. Basically, what absolutely, as absolutely, absolutely, Ian. Um, and so let me kind of Oh my gosh, that's horrible. Um, Basically, when we talked about here in the big book, um, and we'll stop there. But I'm going to for next week. We'll go over. We'll kind of go. Start where the three types are again. Um, what the big book is kind of talking about is the three types of drinkers. Again, the moderate drinker or the moderate user. They can take it or leave it. The Then the heavy type, those are your used to bees. Yes, absolutely, Ian. Absolutely. Um, so in the big book, that's the second type that you oftentimes hear referred to as the used to be addict or the used to be alcoholic. They quit. They found a reason to quit. They might have to go get help, but in some cases they don't. They'll show up at like a treatment center or a hospital or some. They'll get the help that they need, and they're fine. They never have another problem again. Occasionally, they might think about it, but by and large, they're fine. Okay. They may even have to seek out a little bit of counseling or something like that, but they're okay. But then the real alcoholic, they can't stop. Okay. They cannot stop. They continue on and have to get actual, real help. We're talking it gets serious. Now, how serious is this? And I actually read a story. Yeah, that's the second type. The third type is the one that you'll hear me say, the true alcoholic is like a pickle, okay? They are just uh they are just like the a pickle, if you will. You take a cucumber, you turn it into a pickle, you can never turn that pickle back into a cucumber. Okay? That is the truth with an alcoholic or an addict. Okay? So once we become true alcoholic, there is no return from it. So the used to be alcoholic or used to be addict is an erroneous term. It's and I don't want to be the one to kind of say there is no such thing. Either you become one or you become the one that the heavy user, if you will, or the heavy drinker. Um, and if you're still in kind of in the background, yep. Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely. Once you're an alcoholic or an addict, there is no return. That's just the way it is. So now that I've said that, now that I've said all of that, now Zero reminded me of what I need to touch base on really quick. Um, Let me say that what I'm about to say uh, might be of some interest to our friends in Narcotics Anonymous and in Alcoholics Anonymous. Back when I was about 3 years sober, this came down the pipeline from AA World Services. And one of the biggest problems that we have nowadays is a lot of young people have a hard time getting sober. The numbers for relapse is ridiculous. You will find that those of us in around my generation and maybe a few years after, trying to for basically a few years after me, I'd say maybe around 5 years after my age. Uh, yeah. What's his face? Yeah. Here's your hammer. Hit your nail on the head. Okay. Um, and there's a couple reasons why we're asking. Um, there's a couple of reasons why. Um, trying to think. I was reading chat and lost my train of thought. Um, with what they discovered in AA World Services, two things. You still had old timers that were being rough and tough, and a lot of the younger ones were having a hard time with that. And it oftentimes to get them over that, the rough, tough old timers who were just trying to help, uh, um, there's always going to be those operations that no one talks about. Um, so with Ian with the middle finger, nothing but love, brother. Um, no, I was just reading chat and I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute!" It was my fault. I lost my train of thought. But what AA World Services discovered is that also a lot of alcoholics were just classifying themselves as addicts. Now, I've been to two NA meetings in my time, and I have nothing but respect for what they do. And the one NA meeting, I thought it was the AA. There was an NA meeting and an AA meeting going on at the same time, and I accidentally ended up in the NA meeting. I was like, sorry, I'm in the wrong meeting, and I went to the AA meeting. Yep, absolutely. Okay, there you go. So yeah, absolutely zero. I'll still wake up every now and again, still wanting a drink. Even after all the time I've got. So now that I've said all of that, um, AA World Services also found that basically that some alcoholics were classifying themselves as addicts and were going to the NA meetings, which that's very specialized. If you go back to the guy who started Narcotics Anonymous back in the 1970s, scare them sober, yeah. There's a lot of truth to that, Kuko. Good to see you in this particular stream. Very good to see you. Uh, so a lot of times with AA, uh, some of our members end up in NA meetings trying to say, well, I'm an addict, I'm an addict. And oh, you didn't enjoy. Some people don't like. I have nothing but respect for the NA meetings because I've listened to some of their stuff and it's good quality stuff, good quality stuff. And I've got nothing but respect for the NA program. In AA, we look at things a little bit differently. Yeah, where I live, NA is not very strong. A is still very, very strong. But I know when you get up around major metropolitan areas, NA is very strong. AA is very strong. Nothing but respect for both programs. Um, well, no, I'm not, but that's not even a question you should even ask. You know, um, you know, this it is Pride Month, and I'm a supporter of the LGBTQIA plus community. I'm an ally if you're wondering, I am an ally, but I don't think any of that matters. We're talking about sobriety. Some people. Um, Narcotics Anonymous. It's those who struggle with drug addiction, and drug addiction is no joke this day and age. There's a lot of people who struggle with drug addiction. However, one of the things that that AA found was that some AA members, well, some people who should actually that end up in NA meetings, Google. Uh, I don't even like that term. Because it's not the proper way to use the word gay. Because I'm very familiar with an older style of English language here in the in the United States. Yeah, and I do not like using that word, which that's another subject for another time. So what we found was that some AA members were saying, "Oh, I'm an addict." Well, some people who should be in AA, I'm an addict. And when you would ask them, you know, how they ended up in a when there's yeah, um, when they would end up in treatment centers, well, I'm an addict. Really? Okay, what happened? Well, I was out there, you know, after I left the treatment center, I went out and yeah. While I was out there, you know, I was, you know, I started drinking with my buddies, and the next thing I know, we were looking for an 8 ball. Folks, that's it. Okay. Basically, the alcohol wasn't enough. They went out and got something else. Kind of what the, you know, the big book was describing, you know, that they were using other stuff along with the alcohol. But it always, if you will, it kind of depends. If you were leading off with one or the other, kind of depends on what you, and you went to the other because what you were doing wasn't enough. So if you will, if you're leading off with, you know, I was doing this, and, you know, and then I started drinking because this wasn't enough. Yeah, it's probably safe to say you're an addict. But if I started off with it, drinking, and then I started doing this, you know, whatever it was. Yep. There you go, Kuko. So, you know, it's kind of one of those things. I started off drinking, but then I swapped to this. Then you're probably an alcoholic. But I will say that this day and age, dealing with a lot of people are, it is technically an addiction. It's just that one program is geared more towards drinking. Better yet, let me put it like this. I understand what an addict will go through. I understand that without question. But there are certain things that based on the stories, even though I can identify with an addict, I don't have the experience that an addict will have in understanding another addict. On the other hand, it might even be safe to say that there are certain experiences with alcoholism that an addict may not be able to fully understand. Not saying that we don't understand each other. There's just certain little quirks. As a matter of fact, that was actually one of the things that the guy who started Narcotics Anonymous, he was actually struggling with. So he went to AA World Services, said, look, I'm not able to get straightened out. And here's the little thing that I'm having a little issue with. And do you care if I start kind of a Narcotics Anonymous? And this was in the 1970s. AA World Services said, by all means, he said, can I use the big book as my start for the Narcotics Anonymous big book? And they said, let us get the frick out of your way. Here's the book. Here's the transcripts. Have at it. So AA actually had its hand in the start of Narcotics Anonymous. That's why you'll sometimes, if you go to a really good, solid Narcotics Anonymous meeting, they'll say, if it wasn't for those old drunks, you will actually hear that. If it wasn't for those old drunks. So that's, so if you will, AA does recognize its addicted brethren, and we will work together, even though we're not fully affiliated. We have nothing but respect for each other, and that's the way it should be, my friends. It should be that way. It should never be one is better than the other, and it should always be we have nothing but respect for each other, and I like it that way. I like it that way. We have nothing but respect for each other. And I appreciate my Narcotics Anonymous brethren, my brothers and sisters over there, because when absolutely Zero, and because there are times that some of us in AA do need to, who are severely, as we say, duly addicted, need our Narcotics Anonymous brethren to help with that. Because there are people who truly are duly addicted. But there are some of us in AA that we just love we love to make it sound a whole lot worse than what it is. We're little drama queens, if you will. We just love to do that. Just love to do that. But that being said, it isn't necessarily, it's just not, yeah. Zero. Yeah. We like to make it a whole lot worse than what it really is. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way, but sometimes it is. So now that I've said that, probably bad. I'll probably have to go for that orange survivor and see if I can do any. All my survivors are orange, but we'll talk about that in the next stream. So, I hope that going through the big book, it is informative for a lot of you out there, because I know, even if you're on the fence of alcoholism and drug addiction, and again, AA, and sometimes I can be still. It is part of me getting better. Remember, folks, alcoholism and drug addiction it's not a lack of moral fiber. It's not that we don't want to, it's not that we're bad people trying to learn how to be good. We are sick people trying to get better. Yep. Absolutely. Matter of fact, Bill W. Okay. Well, I need that mission anyways. So that's kind of where it's at. Okay. We're not bad people trying to learn how to be good people. We're sick people trying to get better. And I hope that people understand that. By no stretch of the imagination are we trying to, that anyone who is, who's on the outskirts looking at a family member, just understand that they are suffering from an illness that is terminal. And without help, they will eventually die from it or end up in an institution. They can end up in prison. It's just horrible that it has to be that way. And hopefully that as time goes on, maybe we will find a cure for this. Maybe we will one day find a cure for this problem. But for right now, this is what we have. And I hope that by going through the big book that we clear up some of the apprehension that is out there, because there are still people that it is still a stigma to be an addict or an alcoholic, even in recovery. There is still some people that look down on us, even though we're trying to do right. Yeah, that's kind of funny how that sometimes happens to us. For the longest time, I thought everybody drank. I thought everyone partied the way that I did. No, normal people don't do that stupid shit. My 22nd birthday, yeah. Some people say that. Maybe sometime I might have to do a good video on explaining that. But anyhow, we are to the end of the road in this particular Sober Talk segment. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you're getting something out of it. Ian was the one who kind of mentioned something about the big book that he really wanted to hear more out of it. And I was like, you know what? I need to go through it. I need to read it again. So that's what I'm doing. I'm reading it again. And Ian, thank you for that suggestion, because I needed to get into the book. And by you doing that, it is helping me too. Okay. By no stretch of the imagination, it is helping me too. So, again, I appreciate all of you being here tonight. Without question, there's a lot of you that, that I know are getting something out of this. I know I'm getting a great deal out of it, and I get a great deal out of all of you being here to help me stay sober. You guys are amazing. If you had any doubts, if you were worth anything today, oh, thank you, Raven. If any of you had any doubts, if you were worth anything today, and I mean anything, remember, you are here tonight to help me stay sober, even if it's for just another 24 hours. And that means a lot to me, that you guys were here for me, that you helped me stay sober. You're helping me save my life, even if it's just for today. And that in itself. So if you wondered if you were worth anything, yeah, you're worth an awful lot. We started doing these streams last year, and I'm very grateful that I did so, Zero. Very grateful, because it's helped me a great deal too. So now that I've said all of that, that does bring us to the spot where I get to remind all of you something of great deal of importance. Here in Sober Talk, we let out a very special way, and it's special to Sober Talk only. And it goes a little something like this. At day's end, I hope all of you need me as much as I need you. And with that being said, if no one has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24. Thank you.